Assalamu alaikum students, welcome to lecture 11 in hospital pharmacy. Today we are going to start a new chapter, and that is purchasing, distribution and inventory control of medicine. And the topic which we are going to discuss today is procurement, purchase of medicine. So outline for today's lecture is that first of all we will discuss about procurement of medicine. How can we define what is procurement or purchase of medicine? Then role of purchasing agent and pharmacist together in the purchase of medicine. Then various methods of purchasing medicine. Then finally we will learn the difference between purchase request and purchase order, which is also a very important step involved in the procurement or purchase of medicine. So what is procurement of medicine? First way to define it is that procurement is defined as a process of acquiring supplies, medicines in case of the hospital pharmacy through purchase from manufacturers, their agents like distributors, or from private or public suppliers like we can say community pharmacies. Another way to define procurement or purchase of drugs is that purchasing of medicine starts with framing of buying policies and ends with receiving, stocking, and payment. Buying of framing of buying policies means that to develop the requirement of medicines and then to develop the specific purchase or request form if any specified for any company, and then what gets involved is receiving, stocking, and payment in the last. So irrespective of the fact that how you define it, but one thing is for sure that it is a legal matter, as it is the exchange between two companies or organizations. So not only it involves the professional knowledge, but it also involves the legal skills and knowledge also. Now the question arises that who should do the purchase work, and it could be purchasing agent or pharmacist. But as a matter of fact, as both have their separate knowledge and skills at their own level and place, so both should be involved in purchase and they should work in collaboration. Okay, role of purchasing agent. What could be the possible role of purchasing agent? So purchase agent issues and maintains orders, purchase orders, and so he could be involved in issuing and maintaining orders, and then follows up on delayed orders. Once the order gets issued, then definitely the distributor or the manufacturing company or whoever they have the contract with to get the supply from, the purchase agent is in constant contact with them, and to make it sure that the hospital or hospital pharmacy is getting the supply in time. And then involved in bidding procedures. Basically bidding is settling settlement on a certain price rate which suits you as a buying company or the buying entity. So most of the time these are the auctions or the various biddings where settlement on a certain price is done, and purchase agent is usually involved in that. Moreover, he also gets quotations from authentic sources. So getting quotations, basically quotations are the current price rates for anything which you want to buy, and getting it from authentic resources is a guarantee that you are first of all getting the current rates and the right rates for whatever you want to purchase. And secondly, it also makes sure that you're getting your supply from a quality place, and there won't be any uh, you can say that there won't be any low quality involved in your supply. So here we can see that most of the time the purchasing agent is busy with outwardly matters related to getting the supply of medicines for the hospital pharmacy, like once the order get issued. So after that, most of the um, matters is being handled with uh, by, by purchasing agent. Then we look at the role of the pharmacist in purchase, and the pharmacist might be involved in direct purchase from manufacturer or wholesaler or distributor. Whoever they are getting the medicine from may get involved in bidding procedures just like the purchasing agent. Purchasing from a local pharmacy, sometimes in some cases they might be buying the medicine from a local pharmacy instead of a wholesaler, distributor, or directly from a manufacturer. Con- Contract of purchases with manufacturers. So we can see that there isn't much of a difference between the role of a pharmacist or a purchase agent. But yes, in order to streamline the purchase process in a more systematic way, the pharmacist might be held responsible for internalized matters such as or the role of the pharmacist might turn into a more internalized way towards getting the right updated list of the medication which is required by the hospital. Like he might get involved in the policy matters. Most of the time, he or she is part of the pharmacy and therapeutics committee, and we know that that is a committee which is involved in the hospital formulary design and what to include and what not to include matters. So pharmacist role can get more internalized in that situation if a purchase agent is being appointed for to handle the outwardly matters like uh, related to the purchase and getting the order in time and getting the quotations and all that. So purchasing agent might handle the all the matters after once the purchase order gets issued. So in this way, we can differentiate between the possible role of pharmacist and a purchasing agent. If, for example, they're working together. Purchasing agent and pharmacist collaboration, there is another possible way for their collaboration in quite a parallel way instead of assigning different responsibilities. Um, for example, maintain a list of names, addresses, and telephone numbers of drug manufacturers, wholesalers, and their representatives. So initially we discussed that this is a task which could be done by a pharmacist if his role is more internalized, sort of. But if, for example, a purchasing agent and pharmacist are collaborating in a parallel way and they are doing things side by side, then it is quite a possibility then that they both be doing the same thing and prepare a detailed specification of drugs, chemicals, and biological, same thing. Then prepare request for purchase form, which was initially uh, getting done by the pharmacist. Okay, there are various methods of purchase or procurement of the medication by hospital pharmacy. First one is, which is the most reliable one, is purchasing directly from manufacturer or their regional center. Uh, Purchasing directly from manufacturer is beneficial in a way, in two ways. Basically, the first one is that it guarantees that the products are authentic and genuine, and secondly, the second biggest advantage that it is highly profitable because any third party or medium isn't involved when it is a direct purchase from the manufacturer, which are able to provide you at in bulk at a very reasonable cost. So this first method is a very reliable one. The second is from wholesalers, and this is basically involvement of a third party, which is but still it is authentic because manufacturers or the companies usually have their list of distributors there or wholesalers who are authentic basically, and if you could purchase from them, a little profit would be lesser than the previous that directly purchased from the manufacturer, but anyways, overall, this method is also a good one. Third is from rack merchandisers. Rack merchandisers also provide a company or manufacturer's products, but it is not like wholesalers. because it is a little targeted one. It is in stores and in targeted areas, and from where you which areas you can access and get the product of a specific company. Actually, the manufacturer or company enables the purchase of their products in a targeted and speedy way, and in this way they actually glamorize their normal wholesale or distribution process. Another method is through bidding, in which this is a sort of auction in which settlement for a suitable price is made through negotiations. So there are various ways of bidding. Bidding is a very good way to obtain products at a very good price, and so what you call the bidding process is generally the same as calling tenders. It is a sort of open tendering, and it is a process aimed at acquiring goods or services at lowest price, as just I told. The belief is to stimulate competition and minimize discrimination. That's why it is also known as open competitive bidding. Means, for example, the in question is company is a hospital, and a hospital invites certain uh, bids or tenders for purchase of a certain quantity of drugs or products for their hospital pharmacy. So they just invite all the bids or bidders or tenders openly, and so it is an open competition, and all are there. They can sell their products, and hospital pharmacy might be buying from the one who is offering them at lowest price. So it is open competition, and it is a popular way. Another one is restricted tenders, and in case of restricted tenders, as the name is itself explanatory, tenders are restricted, not open to all, and there is a list of shortlisted candidates or suppliers who are aimed for called for the bidding, and then the products are bought from any one of them, whoever is able to offer a better price. So, restricted tendering is a procurement method that limits the request for tenders to a select number of suppliers, contractors, or service providers. Then another method is quotation invitation, and quotation invitation is not much different than these first two methods. It is the same as you call various suppliers. Might call various suppliers, but usually the bidding directly isn't involved. You are contacting a supplier for asking a quotation, and at a fixed price you would be getting whatever price they decide your product. Means it is there are lesser chances or no chances at all that there would be any concession in your bought amount of products. It is not necessary at all. Another important way to purchase or procure medication is through contracts. So there are two popular ways. First is called the fixed quantity contract or rate contract, while the other one is called running contracts. So what is the basic difference between these two? Both are contracts. Both are usually representing contract or settlement for a certain time period of time, and but the main difference between fixed and running contracts is that in case of fixed one, the rate is fixed for a specific period of time, irrespective of the change of in currency uh, of that country during that period of time. It doesn't matter whether there is a change in currency, but there would be a fixed rate which has been started in the start, in the start of the contract, and then that would be applicable to the end of that contract. While in case of running contracts, usually the demands are made from time to time during the definite time period of time which is specified for contracts, and during that time period the currency rate, if variable, then that would be applicable to the charges which are being made, or cost of the products or medicines being provided to the hospital. So that would be variable along with change in currency, though the contract would be a specific period of time. Difference between purchase request and purchase order. A purchase request is inside the company document which is sent for authority to get approved in order to buy drugs from outside. So it might be developed by the pharmacist or the pharmacist and purchasing agent together, and this is actually the list of medication which have to be ordered by that company, or the hospital pharmacy of that hospital. So basically this has to be approved by the administration of that hospital, and then it is after its approval it would be ordered further. So purchase order is an external document used at the time of ordering, though it can be used internally. So once the purchase request is approved by the hospital in question, then the purchase order is developed, and that is basically issued to externally to whoever is in question, the seller, for example the manufacturer, wholesaler, distributor, or merchandise, or through bidding process, whatever way of procurement is being adopted, then purchase order will be issued to them. Though it can be used internally, in some situations the purchase request that is developed initially inside as an inside document, that after approval is directly converted into the purchase order, and the same one is forwarded. So basically both act the same thing, and both are being used internally and externally, both ways. So here is a sample for purchase request form, and you can see that top right corner you can see there is a rectangular square, and the information given is of vendor, company, address, then city, state, zip code number, fax, and telephone number. So all these details about the company is given and is mentioned, and the vendor name is also mentioned there. And then there you can see in the right top corner there is a square box along with date and department, and it is clearly written that purchase requested must be approved before a purchase order will be issued. So and then rest you can see that quantity is given, item number is given, item to be purchased is given, and then there is unit price and then total. So this is the example of purchase request form. This one is the internal document, and this is supposed to be approved by the administration of the hospital. Now here this is the purchase order sample, and here you can see that company name is given now, but vendor is down below. While in the initial form, the vendor name was given above, while company name was mentioned below. Now, what is the main difference between company name and vendor? Vendor is the one who is the supplier or who is supplying on the behalf of a manufacturer. It could be manufacturer directly. And the company name, which is given above and in the previous case was given below, is the company which is ordering. So in case of hospital pharmacy, the hospital will be the company which is ordering, and rest here is no approval square given any, and then rest of the example is same item, description, quantity, unit price, total, the same thing almost, and ship to. You can see vendor and ship to. So here again, the same company name would be given definitely, which is ordering. So this is a sample for the purchase order form, and I hope that now it is clear to you people that what is the main difference between purchase request form and order form. So again, I'm repeating that purchase request form is the internal document that is for the approval purpose, while the purchase order is for the issuing purpose to the vendor or whoever is the supplier. So receiving the order. So once order is arrived, that must be checked and often counter checked by the pharmacist, and then items are checked for quantity, quality, and expiry dates. Then countersigned by a pharmacist for final reception. So here all the process of procurement of drugs is completed. Dear students, this was about today's lecture. This chapter is still continued, and in upcoming lecture, we would be discussing about inventory control and distribution of drugs.